Good day, my friends. This is Martin Comtois, MC Starman, and we're trying something new today. We're doing a Gemini full moon lunar eclipse post. The lunar eclipse comes on Monday, November 30th at 1:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Times. It will be visible to the naked eye during the night, at least on the West Coast. But a very small part of the moon will be in eclipse. So I'm calling this post Finding Meaning in a Time of Crisis. We're going to talk about the eclipse season. We're going to talk about the Jupiter Saturn conjunction, the Aquarius ingress of the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. We'll talk about the history of the Maxima Conjunctio. This is MC Starman. You can find me at the Healer and the Dreamer website, YouTube channel, and on Facebook. We're doing astrology, alchemy, and dreams, and in Jungian psychology as well. So, important kairos for December 2020. We got, so what is a kairos? A kairos is magical time. Saturn has two names. Saturn rules Aquarius and it rules Capricorn. We'll talk a lot more about that in coming weeks and months as Saturn gets ready to leave Capricorn and goes into Aquarius. And so Kairos is a magical time. Saturn has two names, Chronos and Kairos. Chronos is linear time. Tick tock, tick tock. That's a feature of Saturn, the timekeeper. And then there's the Kairos. Kairos is those moments in time that have so much more in them. We've all experienced them, peak experiences. So Kairos. So astrology was really intimately related to alchemy, and in alchemy, the transformation of lead into gold or matter into spirit uh, was the experiments of the alchemists were always calculated and found according to the kairos, the proper time. So this is a list here of the important times of this new moon. So we have full moon in Gemini. Um, November 28th, we have the Venus Uranus opposition, and that will still be going on during the new moon, the full moon, Gemini full moon, lunar eclipse on November 30th. And then December 14th, we have the Sagittarius new moon, solar eclipse. Then we have a busy solstice, December 20th, Sun Mercury conjunction, December 20th and 21st, Jupiter Saturn conjunction, and then the Aquarius ingress comes in a little bit later and then Jupiter and Saturn, which is going to be felt, and it's been being felt for quite a while, within 1 degree from December 13th to January 1st. Then on December 21st at 2:02 in the morning, we have the winter solstice, the shortest night of the year. And then month of December closes out with the Cancer full moon. And so this is what I have on offer. And mm, so we'll get started with um, the eclipse season. So what is the eclipse seasons? How um, how are eclipse seasons? Eclipse seasons come twice a year, and I'll show you in the chart of the Gemini full moon. I'll show you that. We'll go back to sharing. Mm, share screen. And then, so here we have the Sagittarius full moon. I'm sorry, I wrote Sagittarius full moon, but it's Gemini full moon, November 30th at 1:30. So you see here, oops, you see the north nodes. Those are the points in the skies when the lunation, when the new moon and the full moon fall within 18 degrees of the nodal axis. That's when we have a eclipse. So this eclipse, as you see, the moon is within 12 degrees of the nodal axis. So we have an eclipse and we have the sun in Gemini, social Gemini, gathering information, being really social. Of course, it's being challenged nowadays, but the moon in Gemini is very social, sun in Sagittarius. It's about meaning. What does all this information in Gemini, what does it all mean? What is it, the purpose of it? And so we have this full moon in the Cancer, in the Gemini, Sagittarius axis. And then we have a beautiful little um, Uranus Venus conjunction in Scorpio Taurus, and all of those form two opposition, two quinsunk, and two semi-sextile. I call this formation of aspects a cradle. And so then cradling our need for creativity, finding the information and the meaning of that information. That's why I call this post finding meaning in a time of crisis. What does it mean to me in as an individual? How this can be this how can I make the best out of this? How can this situation best serve me? Finding meaning in what we're going through as a collective is so important. And this full moon with Uranus, Venus, Sun, and Moon will really trigger this need for meaning and this need for proper information so that we can make the plans and make the adjustments that we need as individuals. Of course, the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. So we've been talking about, just recently Jupiter and Pluto were in conjunction during the last new moon. Jupiter and Pluto were right here. Jupiter moves really fast, and now it's moving towards Saturn, and both Jupiter and Saturn will connect together and move together into Aquarius. So that's the Jupiter Saturn conjunction moving into Aquarius. And then we'll talk a lot about in coming weeks and months about Mars. We've been talking a lot about Mars and Uranus, and both of those are in square to Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, and that those squares will intensify as 2020 ends and 2021 begins. And so we'll talk a lot about that as we go along. So I'm trying a lot of different things here to make this more entertaining and to get the information out to you. So this Jupiter Saturn conjunction really quite important. Let's see if I can get a glyph, another. Um, in alchemy, Jung told us that Saturn and Jupiter was known as the maxima conjunctio, the most important of conjunction. If you've been looking at the sky, if you've been fortunate enough to at sunset to get clear skies, you've been seeing Jupiter and Saturn moving closer and closer to the point of sunset. by the end of December, there in December, we're going to see Jupiter and Saturn together in exact conjunction, setting together with the sun. And that's going to be quite beautiful. And so this is a very visible conjunction, and it's been with us for thousands and thousands of years in history. Um, um, uh, it was always associated with regime shifts, um, kingdoms, kings ending their demise, new leadership, really key times of transformation. I did um, I did a post for that here that we'll look in a second, of the Jupiter Saturn in recent history, the Jupiter Saturn conjunction in recent history. It comes every, here we go, it comes every 20 years or so. So the maxima conjunctio in recent times. So December 2020 is our next conjunction. And of course, because of the placement of Pluto, there's been a huge buildup to the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. Jupiter again, god Jove, the ruler of Sagittarius, the archer here in Pisces. So the truth-seeking hero, the one who seeks to understand knowledge, um, and who the depth of Pisces is really also Jupiter sign. So Jupiter is what I want to be when I grow up. What is my faith and my enthusiasm and my enthusiasm for living? Where Saturnus, Cronus, the timekeeper, with the sickle, and then we have here the water bear, and we have the fish goat of Capricorn, both ruled by Saturnus. In alchemy, Saturnus was known as the soul Niger, the black sun. It's responsible for us becoming, facing our darkness and becoming all that we can be. So in history, December 2020, May 2000. And so Jupiter and Saturn at the time of the shifting of the millennium, and also 2001, 9/11, Jupiter, Saturn started a new era, and a lot of the similar mm, realities we faced at 9/11 and the crashing of the building. We had the conspiracy theorists, we have those who fully bought into it, and then we had this great war. With hindsight, we can see that this was a manipulating of our government authorities. Still, so many people don't accept that, but now we have a little more time. But definitely after that time, you can cross the border without a passport and without really strenuous regulations and checks. The government became really strongly regulating everything. And so, um, Mars, Jupiter, Jupiter, Saturn are important changes in the collective. So 2000, 2001, and then 1981, three conjunctions we had in 1981. And that was the beginning of AIDS and safe sex, and also the Cold War was at its height, and so another big shift happened. That's really when technology really started to take over more and more and more, and the speed of life. And so every time there's these conjunction, major shifts happen. We had February 1961, mm, so then in the 60s, the shift of the 60s, 1941, 1921, 1901. Every 20 years or so, we have that maxima conjunctio, very interesting stuff. And so, what does it mean to us personally? How do we engage with that? How do you live with this Saturn, Jupiter, and you know, how does it serve me again? This is so important. So we have an opportunity, Jupiter, to have faith, to trust Saturn in this process of transformation we're all going through. We I've been studying this great shift for many, many, many years. Ever since the Uranus Pluto season started in 2008, we've been going through a lot of challenges to our collective leadership processes and how and what our value system. And so I think that what's happening with the Jupiter Saturn and with the Pluto, and then in 2021 we'll see Uranus play a really important role. Mm, we're getting to redefine ourselves. These isolation, these, whether they're good, whether they're bad, history will tell. What was really the COVID and what was the regulations and what are the economic situations going to look like. History will tell us and will be judged. These times will be judged by history, but we don't have, the luxury of that objectivity. So we're all really feeling it. And so in my work, in my doing readings and in my study of astrology and in helping people deal with these times, what I find is that we're all reassessing, what do we believe? What is our purpose here? And so focusing on purpose and putting discipline, Saturn, and hope and faith, enthusiasm into becoming all that we fully are is this finding meaning in a time of crisis that I'm talking about. So let's look at another chart here. We'll look at Sagittarius new moon that comes on December 14th, and two triple conjunctions. So we have, oops, not having this. So we have, whoops. Okay, well, can't get rid of the blue. But anyway, we have Sun, Mercury, Moon conjunction. And again, we can see the nodal axis is at 20 degrees and the new moon is at 24. So that's going to be an other eclipse. And this time it's a solar eclipse. It won't be visible. It's at 8:17 a.m. here on the West Coast. So it won't be seen, but it'll be seen in other places. And then we have that Jupiter Saturn conjunction, the Maximo Conjunctio, and see how close it is and how it's moving into Aquarius. And again, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and then Jupiter, Saturn moving together into Aquarius. So we'll talk more about this in future posts, but there is a real feeling of a change of times that is going on. And a lot of it is up to us what we do with it. um, what choices we make during these times as an individual, and how we let our voice be heard into what we believe to be the meaning of our times. Again, Jupiter, Saturn form a square to Mars into Uranus, and that will get stronger and stronger as the sun and the moon move along their path on the ecliptic. So that's what we have so far. So we've done two charts. We've talked about the Maxima Conjunctio, and we've talked about the eclipse season. A lot of responsibility comes with these times. Huh? These are really quite challenging times where um, again, the crisis factor has been amped up so much. So taking the time to really nurture oneself and to commit to the inner path and to connect with a sense of meaning and direction. Super, super important. Taking really good care of yourself, of course, physically, but also spiritually through your spiritual practice, through your creative practice. I'll be doing, I hope that you like this new style here. I've been working hard at doing this, and it's coming together. I'm going to share one more chart with you. That is the chart of mm, the Cancer full moon. So the Cancer full moon. So we have Cancer Capricorn. Again, the sun is still in conjunction with Mercury. Oh boy, oh boy. Learning the technology takes time, huh? But I like how we can do this. So we have Sun, Mercury in opposition to the moon in T squared to Chiron, the wounded healer, doing the work of healing, facing our wounds, facing our shadow. And then you see Jupiter and Saturn moving away from Pluto and moving into a square with Uranus and Mars. That's how 2021 is going to start. And we're going to start feeling it. Uranus is the great revolutionary, Mars is the warrior, Jupiter, Saturn, the Maxima Conjunctio, the first the first lunation, the first two lunations in 2021 will be strongly constellating the Mars Uranus conjunction. Anger and frustration and instabilities will mark the beginning of 2021, but we'll look at that as we go along. So this is the first time I do multiple chart, and this is kind of a long range forecast. I hope you enjoy it. Um, Trying to keep up with the times and get my act together here in how I share my work. Pay attention to these dates, and I'm available for readings and for dream analysis. I'm MC Starman, Martin Comtois. I do astrology readings, dream work, workshops, lectures, and videos. The Healer and the Dreamer Astrology is the concept that I teach, and you can find that on the web, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And here, if you want to reach out, Healer and the Dreamer Astrology. Ooh, this is misspelled. At gmail.com. Well, I got to get a better editor. Um, so it's been really fun to share this with you, and I hope that you enjoy this presentation. Let me know what you think, and I'm going to get better as we move along. Um, Please, if you shared this and if you told more about people about my work, we're up to 166 followers on YouTube. And then my last video got the most view ever. We got 201 views. And so putting a lot of effort into it, really appreciating everybody's support. I want to thank my friend Alan Churchill for having me, for teaching me so much in this year to get to myself caught up, and also Steve O'Connor, who's been also greatly helpful. This is MC Starman tuning out. Be good to yourself, take good care of yourself, and focus on meaning. Don't get caught up in the hysteria, but connect with the deep inner self and find your calling, and be the change that you want to see in the world. Thank you for following. Uh, Peace out.